Hey y'all, it's Sharon and I'm back to share another policing experience with you guys. If you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the US and I was also in the military. I'm sharing my experiences along with my perspectives while policing and some in the military in hopes of helping others in similar situation or just to give you a different perspective. I think policing rarely hears from the female side of policing who happens to be Black. And I'm sharing my experiences, especially the ones during the whistleblowing days, because in sharing, it's helping me, and I hope it's helping you, just to give you a different perspective on the way I saw things happening and the way I did things. And with that being said, I noticed while policing, I shared the same views. The community is just very ungrateful. And let me explain. I feel like I did my job. I was doing my job, and it was a thankless job. And the community always grumbled. Every time I look on TV, somebody's complaining about the way we're policing, and it's a hard job, and very few can do it. And I turned the volume down, so to speak, on the community grumbling in terms of how we policed. I heard loud and clear the criticism, but then I didn't, how should we say, send it through a lens of, okay, what are they complaining about? And now let's look at it. And I didn't do that for a long time. I just heard the complaining and grumbling as just being ungrateful. The community is just ungrateful, plain and simple. When I blew the whistle the first time, I experienced this ostracism and this retaliation, and I didn't know how to handle it quite well. It happened before I came into policing. I shared that in the last video about the nursing home. And I had an idea on how to deal with things, but I really didn't know. Fast forward a couple of years later, probably 7 or 8, I don't remember, but I blew the whistle the second time. And when I tell you the loneliness of being ostracized and retaliated against, it's nothing I would wish on anybody, but it made me look inward and how I was policing. And I realized that the ideologies that I held at that time and the training, they were hitting heads. So when I heard the community complaining this time around, this is probably 10, 11 years into my career. So I've had the experiences, and now I'm starting to see things differently because, like I said, my relationship and my faith with Christ is helping me to deal with the loneliness and the stress of being ostracized. And when I heard the community complaining this go around, I started to say, okay, what was rising up in me was resentment. Like, how dare they? And then the Holy Spirit, of course, tells me, okay, well, you need to check yourself. Look at what you're doing. And I'm like, what? Of course, it didn't quite happen that way, but that's basically the gist of how the Holy Spirit made me look within myself and how I was policing, how I was talking to people, how I was dealing with folks. And I started to question, well, why did I get the job? Why did I put my hand up, right? And the two things that pop up for me, I wanted to help people and I wanted to serve. Now, what did that look like? We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I wanted to protect and serve. A lot of people have this idea that police officers are just kids that were beat up and bullied, and now they want to seek revenge on the community. And for me, yes, we were bullied because my parents were immigrants, and I guess at the time I had an accent. I don't know, but I don't think so. But yeah, we did. And we would get bullied for that and then get into fights and all kind of stuff. It was miserable, to say the least. And that manifested itself in such a way that I want to help people not get bullied. That's how it manifested throughout the years. I don't want the people that are seeking to do ill will to others. I'm going to try to stop that. That's my thinking, or was my thinking, to get into policing, not to have some kind of power over anybody. And I was a little bit older too when I got into policing. But as the years went along, and then I started, like I said, the first time whistleblowing, and then the second time whistleblowing, and the ostracism and the retaliation made me look inward. And I noticed with policing, we judged the brokenness of others. Here's what I mean. We would hit the warrants. I told you I was the shield person, so I'm the first one in the door. Lay down, get everybody down, get everybody secured. We're searching for drugs or whatever, persons, drugs, everything. We'd look around, the house would be unkept, it'd be dirty. You'd see dishes that probably been sitting there for days. And then the first thing we're thinking, and you'll hear it, people say it, they'll say it out loud. How can these people live this way? And I've done that plenty of times, not millions, probably hundreds of times. I'm like, how can these people live like this? What is going on? You ride up into the neighborhood and you just see people standing around, drunk, doing drugs. What's up with these folks? What's up with their mindset? Judging others, judging the brokenness of others. I'll just title it that. And we do that. I did it. I admit it. That was them. That wasn't me. But I was broken in other ways. And so I started to see that. A lot of times as officers, we come out there with that S on our chest. Some of us got it tattooed on us. And we really think we're superheroes. But do we value others higher than ourselves? And I would have to say, for me, I didn't. Not at the beginning. Because the training indoctrinates you, get the bad guy, and they use the little keywords, drugs and high crime areas, and who those tend to be. And so yes, I'm eating it all up, swallowing it hook, line, and sinker, and I'm going to get the bad guys, right? And then they always say, make sure you go home at night, make sure you win the battle. I might not win the battle if I'm truly serving, but they didn't teach you that part. They didn't talk about that part. Yes, I put my hand up. I swore to uphold and protect and defend the rights of others. But you're telling me to make sure I go home and make sure I win the battle. What about the battles I don't win? What does that look like? Nobody can really answer that question because it's not trained. It's not taught. What happens when I go in and I did the best that I could do? What does that look like? Nobody can tell you because it's not in the training. But I know for sure they do not train for you to be humble or have enough humility to hold others higher in esteem than yourself. Because it's all about yourself. Make sure you get home. Make sure you take care of your family. Make sure it's you. But in policing, if we're serving, who am I serving? Am I serving my vain selfishness? My vain, is the word conceit? Kind of, sort of, If I hold the community higher than myself, then that's actually serving. Because now in humility, I'm going to make sure you're okay. I'm going to make sure I do what's legally within the borders of the law to make sure your life is going well in terms of being on the street, not getting hurt. And I'm doing this across the board. Humility levels the playing field, right? But if that's not taught, You know what? Maybe it's taught now. I'm not in policing, so maybe it's taught now. But when I was going through, and remember, I told you I came with my set of biases. And all I did was get trained with the bias. Now what? So I just want to give you some things to think about. Me as a female, going through policing, it wasn't easy in terms of trying to get folks to respect you because, they thought a couple of things when they saw women in uniform, I'm not going to get into that, but I know as women, we have to have strong bladders and we have to filter what we hear because it's a male-dominated field and you'll hear stuff and you can't be sensitive to too many things because you'll hear it over here, you move over there, you'll hear something else. And then you just bounce around from unit to unit like a ping pong ball. So you have to have some tough skin and a strong bladder. I'll co-sign. But yeah, I just wanted to give you some things to think about. Humility is not taught in the academy. To hold the community higher than yourself. That's not taught. Not at all. Nowhere in the curriculum. And if we're serving, isn't that one of the principles we should have? Because remember, I told you I came with a bias. The bias was towards white men. So me, in the beginning, I look at all white men, even the ones I trained with, like, I don't trust you. Like I said in the other videos, I thought they were all low-key racist. Yeah, they might be nice, but we'll see. And of course, throughout the years, I have a different mindset now, and I take everybody on an individual basis. But I do realize policing has some things and issues with it. I'm not for getting rid of the police or abolishing the police. Retooling, restructuring, and designing the training on one of the pillars needs to be accountability from the top down, and from the top down, mind you, from the bottom up. I have a way of doing it, a plan. Eventually, I'm just going to create my own table. I'm going to stop asking for a seat at the table and create my own table. But that's for another video. All right, you guys. Take a look at the online store. The link is in the description. The online store's address is www.completeandwhole.com. So that's www.completeandwhole.com. And I made some notebooks. The links for those are in the description. Click on the, actually you have to cut and paste the link, and it'll take you straight to Amazon, and you can see the notebooks for yourself. All right, and with that being said, always remember, guys, always remember, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you guys later. Bye.